because that effectively blames the victim. We've been talking with Boston's WRKO radio host, John DePetro, who says that he thinks it's an important lesson for people to learn. Fair characterization, John, of your position?
It is, Dan. I mean, it takes sometimes an event like this for people to really pay attention. And the phrase asking for trouble, I'll tell you what, in 2 months, you come up to Boston, we'll go to Fenway, you wear a Yankee hat, that's asking for trouble. What the real way to look at this is, you heighten your risk for something to go wrong when you put yourself in that position. And when you were talking about driving cross-country, if a woman, I have 4 sisters, I'm married, if a woman asked me, do you think it's safe for me to drive cross-country or should I fly? I would say, I think you should fly.
But then once they died, but the question is, once they died driving cross-country, would you then be saying, see, this is why people shouldn't be doing this? No. You would show respect to the people who died and say, you know what, this is not the time or the place to be talking about the fact that flying is safer than driving. And I don't think this is the time or the place to be saying, oh, well, should women, and in such a sexist and condescending way, should women be out there having drinks at a bar till 4 a.m.? Let me let you get one more word in and let me bring in the panel.
Well, the whole thing of heightening the awareness, I mean, the family has thanked the media for paying attention to the story and talking about the story. I run a general talk show. Because she's from Boston, that's why it was being discussed. It's not a legal aspect.
Whoever did this is 100%.
Whoever did this, let's be clear, is 100% responsible for what happened. But just you can't, I don't think it does, Dan, young women a service to look at this and just look at it as a random act of God.
Susan, what do you make of this?
I think it's disgusting. What am I supposed to tell my daughters, my sister, all women everywhere? Look, if you go out and exercise your right to associate freely, you have the right to expect to be raped, strangled, murdered, killed, brutally sodomized.
This isn't about rights. It's about personal safety and common sense.
That's wrong. Why aren't we telling the men, don't you dare touch a woman, don't you dare murder? Why don't we put them in jail for the rest of their lives or execute them according to the death penalty? But to tell women that if you go out and do what every man has a right to do,
and weirdos
you should
out there
to be
and predators.
Murdered, raped. That's an absolutely morally reprehensible position.
You should warn. Do you go out alone at 4 a.m.?
Don't make this personal about me. Let's talk about what you're saying. Let's talk about the message that you're sending to women. And let's talk about the message that you're sending to men. Men, you have the right. You're entitled. You see a sweet young lady in a vulnerable position late at night. Have at it.
No one is preaching that. That's offensive.
Her fault.
That's offensive, and no one said.
Crossing the line in a way that I think calls your morality into question.
You're offensive.
Clint Van Sant.
There are criminals and sickos out there. If you want to ignore them and pretend they don't exist, then that's your problem and your daughter's problem. But young women need to be warned. It is very dangerous. She's 5'2", 115 pounds. That is different than a man.
So it's
a man
her
would
fault.
have a fighting
Sweet
chance.
Girl, it's her fault.
Michael Sapricone,
it doesn't matter whether it's her fault.
Michael Sapricone, do you want to get in?
I'm not. We don't want to blame a victim. We certainly don't want to do that.
It's the but we don't want to blame the victim. But
we don't want to blame the victim. But in my years of experience working as a detective and going back years ago as an old transit cop, we would have men and women who would go out drinking at night, get on any kind of train, subway system, and by the time they fell asleep and got to the last stop, had become victims because they weren't aware of what was going on around them and because they were intoxicated. So, no, we don't want to blame this victim. But again, with the but, we do want to use it as an example.
But why? Why don't we use this as an example?
Well,
I have no problem with someone in their home saying, "Look, honey, I don't want you going out late tonight. Remember what happened to that girl, etc." I don't really have a problem with that. I do have a problem with people publicly right now, with this family grieving, where no one has been arrested yet, that people are already saying, "What was she doing out so late?"
I'm not saying we should be saying what she was doing out so late, but
of course you are. You're saying why was she drinking?
No, I'm not saying why was she drinking. What I'm saying is, though, just like we all have professions and jobs, so do these people who prey on people who are vulnerable, people who are intoxicated, people who are alone.
Yeah.
That's their profession. That's what they do. That's what they're looking for.
I got to tell you, I haven't heard about that many cases like this, about a woman alone who then gets raped and murdered because she went to a bar till late. We hear about all sorts of different scenarios whereby people get brutalized in this country, and it doesn't happen to be an epidemic about women going out alone to bars being the problem.
It's not about women going out to bars alone. It's about people thinking about what's surrounding them and what's in their best interest. That's what it's about, because there are predators out there who are waiting for us to make mistakes. And that's what they prey on.
All right. I'll leave that as a final word. Word. John DePetro, thanks a lot for coming on the program. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Michael
Dan.
Sapricone, Clint Van Sant, Gary Casimir, Susan Filan. Appreciate it.